Hey, thank you for tuning in, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of season 1 of the Solutions Podcast. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody that's been listening from day one. And thanks to the last episode, we got a bunch of new listeners. So I want to welcome all the new listeners onto the show. You have made it to the season finale of season 1. So before we get into season 2, we need to do a little bit of recap of some of the lessons that were taught during season 1. Why? Because you cannot go on to the next until you get over your ex. So without further ado, welcome to season 2. All right, and we're back. Now, let's be honest. That intro, it is awesome. It definitely is. So, I want to get a little bit on where that intro came from. It actually came from a mixture of a little bit of banda Mexican music with a little bit of hip hop, which kind of aligns with my personality. So, that's why I chose to go with something like that. That intro is perfect for this show. Now, if y'all want to hear something else, please let me know. But until then, that's the one that we're sticking with. So this episode, we're going to be recapping some of the lessons that we learned during this first season. Now, there's a lot of good information, and we had two very good guests on the show during this season. One was my good friend Eddie Vargas, which I got to meet on the process of going to a deployment, and the other one is a longtime friend, the one and only Henry Valenzuela. But though they taught us a lot of good lessons, there was a lot of good lessons taught through the show. So I want to make sure that everybody gets a good peek on it, especially because since we did get a lot of new listeners, I want to ensure that everybody has a little bit of what they missed. Because I know sometimes it's hard. You cannot go back and listen to every episode, but you should and you could. I'm just saying, go support. But I do want to ensure that the information gets out there, okay? So let's start with, what did I talk about on episode number 1? So episode number 1 was a little bit on my background, on where I came from, some of my experiences, and where I get the information that I give. On top of that, because there was a good book that I read a long time ago, I decided to give you the Cliff Notes. I don't know if people still use the word cliff notes. That's like an old term from back in the day when the internet used to have the little clippy. I don't know if y'all remember that. But yeah, I did give you guys the cliff notes on the 7 habits of highly effective people on that episode. So on top of giving you guys why I'm doing what I'm doing and a little bit of background on myself and why you should probably listen, maybe if you like, I also went into the 7 habits of highly effective people. Very good book. If you have not read it, go check it out. And if you don't want to check it out because you're too busy, check out episode 1 and you get a good amount of information from that and a lot of good lessons that I have learned from that book itself. Now we move over to episode 2. Episode 2 came from a poll that I put on Instagram. If you guys are not following the page, it's the.solution.podcast. And that's the official Instagram page of the show. And there's where I either put like if I'm putting a new episode on or just put some pictures of wisdom, some words of wisdom. And also that's where I keep people informed with what's going on. So please go follow the page to stay up to date with all the information. But I did put in a poll. And that's another reason why to follow, right? Because I'll put on polls or information out there so you guys can help me, help you, help us get the information that we really want to hear. So on this poll, I had a couple choices. I don't remember exactly what the choices were because it was a while ago, but the people voted for the 10 guides to success. And these guides were based on 10 rules that I follow, 10 things that I do in order to be successful when it comes to my career, and some things that can help you be successful through yours. Now, I'm not going to sit there and take credit I'm going to give credit where credit is due. And these guides are influenced by Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Now, I always tell people, if you have the opportunity to get that book, get that book. I personally use it almost as my Bible. Like, I read that over and over and over. I think I've read that book at least maybe 3 to 4 times. And on top of that, a lot of times when I have struggle sleeping, I put the 48 laws on audio while I'm sleeping in order for it to just consume my mind. So That's how much I believe in this book, and that's how much I believe in these 10 guides that I put out on this episode. I initially wanted to do it two part. So I was gonna use the first 5 and then the second 5 in order to just to get more content out there. But what ended up happening is that I got a little distracted based on the level of activity that my life has been consuming. So I did the first 5 and then I went a little bit off the rails, but we brought it back. So let me explain. I did want to keep it going with, it was supposed to be the 5 guides, then the second 6 to 10. But as my life got a little bit more busy, I ended up actually meeting a very good person, which was Eddie Vargas, which we ended up meeting while we're both prepping pretty much to go overseas, which we are both at now. And during this guy that I met, well, this guy is, Eddie. He's a little bit older, a little bit more old school, but we would always find ourselves having a lot of good conversations. So I asked him, hey, you want to come on the show? And, just, we already have good conversation. Why not just add it to the show? And to his discomfort, because a lot of people don't feel that they have a lot to bring to the table and they don't realize that they could be the table. I'm just saying, like, don't give up an opportunity to sell your story, because you're probably more interesting than you know. So he got on the show and we got very good feedback. That was episode 3 of the Solutions Podcast, and that's the interview with Eddie Vargas. If you have an opportunity, go check it out. We talked a little bit about how he feels that in relationships, a way to make it last, and he also went over a lot of stuff about how he grew up and how that has helped him in his modern day, and also a little bit about the old school new school mentality when it comes to soldiers in the military and just in general as a whole. So he gave his perspective. He's, let's say, again, little older, a lot more wiser, and then I gave my perspective from in the middle between old and new school, and it was a very good episode, very interesting episode. So if you have an opportunity, please feel free, check it out. Now, episode 4 was inspired by another one of the greats, the one and only David Goggins. So in his book, he goes over the accountability mirror. That's one piece of all the great things that he goes over on his book. I think it's called Can't Hurt Me. So that's another good one. If you have an opportunity, check that one out. Even if it's just an audio, his audio is actually pretty good because it's is narrated by somebody else, but after each chapter, after each meaningful section, he'll have a discussion about what they discussed, and he also have a discussion like a podcast discussion. So it's pretty good. You're getting 2 for 1 way if you get the audiobook for Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. But that accountability mirror is one of those things that you need to have. You need to be able to reflect. You need to be able to know, hey, am I right? Am I wrong? And you got to look at that thing, and you got to be able to face your own flaws, and face your good goods also. Sometimes we forget to reflect on, hey, you know what? We did this and we did it good. We did this and we are awesome. And sometimes we don't give ourselves enough. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. Sorry, I normally would edit it out, but why? No, I ain't perfect. But it kind of goes back to what I was talking about Eddie. And then also my good friend Pino, he didn't feel that he had much to talk about. But I'm telling y'all, like, y'all don't know how great you are sometimes. Sometimes we do not know how interesting we could be if we just put ourselves in a third person point of view. I think it is. When you're looking from the outside in, like somebody thinks we're awesome. Somebody definitely thinks we're awesome. And these 2 people were awesome. Now moving on to episode 5, which episode 5 was on the challenge, the 75-day hard. The 75-day hard is, I ain't gonna lie, it's a very difficult challenge. I did what I could. Unfortunately, based on the environment that I'm in, I was unable to keep the consistency of it. If you don't know what the 75-day hard challenge is, Google it. And there's a lot of Facebook groups, Instagram groups, a bunch of groups of individuals that are doing this challenge. It's 75 days where you get on a diet, you drink a gallon of water, you work out 2 times a day, you read a self-help book or something that's going to help you be better. What's the other one? There's a couple other things. You could check it out on the episode, or you can Google what the challenge is. It's a very, very good challenge for anybody that has the ability, pretty much that has their life in basic structure. It's a very good challenge to do, just to add a little bit of strength into your mind. It's going to help you benefit both physically and mentally, especially if you get through it. I have not yet, but I will. That's one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing when I get back home. It's getting that challenge knocked out and getting it out of the way. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of a break because of course I have to go back and have some good food. But after that, I'm going hard. Now moving on to episode 6, which was Be Your Own Hero. This is something that's echoed by Joe Rogan. It's the first time that I really heard it, but it's something that I've always been into because I've never been a person that looks up to people. Why? Because every single time that you meet your heroes, for some reason they're gonna end up disappointing you. So I actually have adopted this from a long time ago to try to be the best me that I can be and be someone that I'm proud of, be someone that I would look up to. And that's what this episode is about. It's about becoming your own hero. Like if you're watching a movie, you're the main character. What is that life gonna look like? What is it gonna look like? You make that choice. That was a very good episode. It was actually, I think I just freestyled that one, which was really good. So check it out. Now moving on to episode 7. As I said before, I did this poll on Instagram about the 10 guides to success, which was an episode that the audience wanted to hear, and I got very sidetracked. So that's why it started off initially as episode 2 and I ended up finishing up on episode 7. But because there was such a big gap between the first 5 and I was gonna do the second 5, I decided to do a quick recap of the first, and in short, y'all got all 10 in one episode. So if you want to skip over episode 2 and go straight to 7 just so you can hear the 10 guides to success, I will not take it into offense. It was my bad. It is what it is. On episode 8, that for me, that's like my baby. And the reason why I say it is because this is something I've been preaching since I was younger, growing up through my career. And the question is, what is leadership? What is leadership and what is it to you? And do you know the definition? I have mine, and if you want to hear mine, go over to episode 8 and you'll hear what my definition of leadership is and how you can implement that into becoming very successful when it comes to dealing with subordinates. Now, episode 9, it was kind of a little bit of a story of where have I been during that time. I ended up having to take a little bit of a hiatus from recording, and that was because I was traveling all over the Middle East. If you want to hear stories about the wildness that I was doing or the things that I've learned even just in my time right there and then, well, I put it out there on the episode on real life. So it's not like y'all hearing like, oh, back in my day I did X, Y, and Z. No, this is real life stories that are going on and that are going on now, and real life lessons that I was picking up while working on still developing this show. So it was really just to keep the audience updated to where I have been going and the stuff that I've been doing. It turned out a very good episode because I ended up learning some lessons amongst my trip that I was working on during that time. That's what episode 9 was about. Good episode. Check it out. Now, last but not least, I cannot give enough credit to this man. Henry Valenzuela is an old friend of mine, and he helped me, one, reach a lot of other people, but also this episode, it was just a banger. Like every single thing, like if he was a rapper, every single thing that he was saying would be a punchline. Like it was just good advice after good advice after good advice coming through. One thing that I do want to highlight from the episode is birds fly, fish swim, people suck sometimes, and we cannot control that, and we have to figure out ways that we can deal with that on the daily basis. And I'm telling you, that lesson, I have been echoing it like there's no tomorrow to every single person that I deal with, because most of us are dealing with people that just want to do bad to us, or they just want to talk bad about us, or they just don't want us to succeed. And that is what we call envy. Is that it's not that they want what you have, they just don't want you to have it. And envious people are there, and they're everywhere, and there's nothing that we can do about it. But with that alone that he showed me, it was, you're not gonna get mad when a bird flies, because that's what they're supposed to do. You're not gonna get mad when a fish swims, because that's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do. So why are we gonna get mad when people suck? Because some people suck. Why are we gonna get mad when people are just being bad to us? But that's just because misery is in their hearts, and misery loves company. Don't accompany it. Don't accompany it. Sorry, ESL, forgive me. But when I tell you we finished out the show with a bang, I mean, like I said, if this was a rap battle, it was punchline after punchline after punchline of great advice and great guidance that can be followed and implemented immediately. Episode 10, I feel, was my best one, but you be the judge. check them all out. So what is next? What do we have in line for season 2? Well, one thing that I do want to get into is actually doing a lot more interviews. I feel that that helps bring out the personality, my personality out a little bit more, and it also helps bring out the personalities of a lot of people. Also, I also like to give people the opportunity to see how great they are, as I keep saying over and over and over again. Plus, interviews are fun. You get different perspectives from more than just one person, and it's crazy. And the whole point of this show is to be able to maximize and to be able to show that everyday people can find solutions to all problems, and that everybody does have problems, and we all can find a way to outshine them, and we all can find different ways to get the same result, which is to surpass our problems and to be able to surpass all of our issues. So of course, if you know anybody that is interested in coming onto the podcast, or you know somebody that is interesting that you would feel that would be a good addition to the show, please feel free to reach out. Again, the easiest way to get a hold of me is through the official Instagram page, which is the.solutions.podcast. If you tag them on it, you put them on an email or message or whatever, I'll get a hold of them and we'll make a good show happen. The next thing that's also going to be added to this upcoming season is I'm going to try to add a little bit of modern day advice and modern day events that are going on, like real life events that are going on. Like there's things that go trending and every single person is talking about it. So I just want to capture some of that information and be able to give y'all my opinion, or be able to help y'all formulate an opinion, or just talk about the situation, just have a different perspective on it. Everybody has the same perspective. You go online and whatever's trending, everybody almost has the same copy and paste conversation about it, which is almost embarrassing. See, I love artificial intelligence, but I think people are overusing it, and they're literally just copying and pasting the same information, trying to get the same trendy viral video that everybody else is doing. And that's not what we do here. Over here, we're original. We come up with our own opinions, and we give everybody the opinion. We give everybody the option to have an opinion. And last but not least, I will work my hardest to give y'all consistency, because I am all over the place when it comes to the scheduling, and all over the place when it comes to the publishing of new episodes. Well, the reason is again, I have stressed multiple times, I'm currently overseas and I travel and I deal with a lot of different people and I deal with a lot of different scenarios. So sometimes I'm just unable to produce. To be honest, I'm unable to produce content in a expedited amount of time. But this is not the excuses podcast, it's the solutions podcast. So I'm gonna find a way, and I'm going to stay consistent with the show. And again, it's all thanks to y'all. I do appreciate y'all. Thank you very much, and thank you for tuning, and thank you all for the support during season 1, and please continue to support during season 2. Thank y'all, and thank y'all for your service.